Journey to God's House, chapter 25, entitled, You Can Lead an Elder to College, but You Can't Make Him Think. So finally, after a long stint at Bethel, or God's house, Brock finally takes his first vacation. He's got enough money in his pocket, and he's got some vacation time. And he mentions that Bethel doesn't give enough time off, given that there are no national holidays to take off. You don't get off for 4th of July. You don't get off for Thanksgiving or Christmas or New Year's or Memorial Day or so on and so forth. There are no personal holidays off, no PTO, personal time off. There aren't any sick days. And to top it all off, you have to work there a whole year before you can use any of that vacation. So he thinks that you get 2 years per year in vacation time. But I'm not sure exactly how much vacation you get. I've never worked there permanently, so I don't know any of that. But two weeks a year is kind of standard. But again, considering that there are no other days off during the year and no personal time off or sick time off, he says it's pretty pitiful, and I agree with him. He also mentions that a worldly person once called him to his face that he is a flunky. And I guess that made him think about things, because like he says that he never really flunked at anything in life. And so from that point on, he realized that sooner or later he was going to get a college education and a real job, so that way he wouldn't be a flunky anymore. And I agree with him. I agree with the worldly person, and as a matter of fact, I thank that worldly person for telling Brock that he was a flunky, or else that may not have really pushed him to consider or even pursue higher education. So anyways, he's got enough vacation time, he's got enough money saved up, he goes back home, and he wants to talk to an elder in his congregation that he considers as a family friend, and tell him his plans after his stint in Bethel, and that was to go to college. So who else but this family friend, who not only was a college educated man, he was a college professor. Now, can you get that? A Jehovah's Witness is a college professor. So anyways, at the opportune time, he approaches what he calls Mr. Elder Pockface and tells him his goals. And to his surprise, Elder Pockface didn't recommend pursuing a college education at all. In fact, he supported the Watchtower Society's counsel that worldly education and other similar selfish pursuits were not in the best interest for Christians. He basically echoed the Jehovah's Witness thinking that college was a worldly environment which taught atheistic things like evolution and would ruin you spiritually with its liberal godlessness. So basically, he didn't help Brock at all. He actually seemed put off by him just asking about college. So of course this confused Brock, because he didn't see the duplicity in this, him being a college professor. And even on recent JW broadcasts, I don't know which month, I don't watch them, I just watch clips every now and then. But there was a governing body member, I think it was Anthony Morris III, and he was talking about higher education, and that I think he said something to the effect that the better the university, the worse it is for your spirituality. Yeah, can you get that? The better the university, the worse it is for your spirituality. So anyways, he goes on to relate the conversation that he had with Elder Pockface. And Brock says that it was hypocritical of him to say that it wasn't a very good thing for him to do, since Mr. Pockface had himself went to college. And he says, well, I went to college before I knew the truth, so that's different. You will hear the hypocrisy with Jehovah's Witnesses of doing things that are against the society because they started doing them before they were in the truth. And so later on, Brock says, so you teach worldly people how to get ahead, but not your own brothers? And Mr. Elder Pockface says, it's not that. College just isn't for true Christians. I have to do this as it is my profession. I've spent too long doing this in my life to simply give it up now. But you should know better, Brock. Ah, yes. Laying the guilt trip thick. So, Brock Talon eventually left Bethel, finished his college education, and has worked up his way up the professional ladder using what he learned in college, and he built himself a very good career. And he goes on to tell us some of his accomplishments, and hats off to you, Brock. It sounds like you're doing very well these days. I am so glad you are enjoying life and your work and not sitting up at Bethel making books in a factory for the rest of your life, because that's really what Watchtower would have recommended to him. Continue working at Bethel for the rest of your life, not making any money, not saving any little nest egg for your retirement, but making books, doing tours at Bethel, and so on and so forth. Zero satisfaction in your work, zero money in the bank, and zero to look for, except for Armageddon, which is always around the corner. So Brock then goes on to tell us, some life advice, and I do appreciate that. He says that getting a college education is also about satisfaction in life and the ongoing confidence which comes from personal success. And this is the point I really enjoyed. He says, sure, chasing money can wreck a person's life or ruin one's soul, but make no mistake about it, simply being poor can do that also. And I agree with that 100%. So he ends this chapter by telling us that Mr. Pockface ended up getting a divorce. His wife married up in the JW world, and he kind of married down to a sister almost half his age, and I guess you can say she was considered a JW floozy. But that came as a surprise to a lot of people in the congregation, because of course he would stand up on the podium and preach that they should wait and find a chaste and suitable and spiritually solid marriage mate. And that's not what he did. So given the history of selfishness and double standards coming from Elder Pockface, this marriage mate didn't come as a surprise one bit to Brock. So anyways, for those of you listening, please do consider pursuing higher education after you leave the Jehovah's Witnesses. It's never too late. You can always better yourself and become more successful. There is nothing wrong with being successful in your career, and if that means making more money and being rich, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that either. There is nothing wrong with having as much money as you can earn, because that's right, you earned it. No one gives you anything in life. You earn every bit of it. And you're just like King Solomon in the Bible. If you still believe in the Bible, King Solomon, when God asked him to what he wished for in life. He wished for wisdom, and what did God do? He gave him money. He made him rich. So there's absolutely nothing wrong. Yet, Jehovah's Witnesses will guilt you to death about being materialistic when you have a lot of money. So anyways, I'm going to bring this one to an end. Thanks for listening. Thank you for taking time to listen to my summary of the book, Journey to God's House. Post your comments, like and share this video, subscribe to my channel, and stay tuned for the next chapter.